Hey everyone, Mike here from Watch It Paint It, and in this video I'm going to show you how to paint smooth looking red fabric. This fabulous looking miniature is Lord Solar Leontus, and thank you to Games Workshop for sending this to the channel. The main color of my cape is going to be Mephiston Red, so I'm starting off with that and then mixing German Grey into it. You could just mix in a pure black, but German Grey has some elements of blue and green mixed in with it, and this is going to create a nicer looking shadow color than simply using a pure black. Now since this is going to be a base coat, I'm not mixing in a lot of water, just a drop or two so that the paint won't leave any brush strokes. Mephiston Red and German Grey are both very opaque colors, so you should be able to get full coverage with just one coat, but put on 2 coats if it looks splotchy. Once that's dry, it's going to be a dull, kind of ugly reddish-brown color. Next I'm switching to pure Mephiston Red, and I've mixed this with slightly more water than paint. I'm using this as a glaze, and the most important part in this step is the direction of your brush strokes. I'm starting about halfway down this big arch in the cape, and I'm moving my brush upward from the bottom of the arch to the top, and then I'm stopping at the center. As you can see, I'm doing quick little brush strokes, and I'm moving from the bottom of the cape up to the top, and I'm always ending my brush stroke at the highest point of the arch in the cape. Now because the paint is so thinned down, it's going to take numerous layers to get this to a bright red. It's important to keep the paint thin, however, so you can slowly build up the brightness of the red color as you get closer and closer to the top of each of these arches in the cape. Once I get to a really narrow fold in the cape, instead of brushing, I'm instead going to stipple the paint on, so just dabbing it with the tip of the brush to build up the brightness on top of that fold. The large, wide areas are a bit harder to do, like the end of the cape here, but what I'm doing is starting about halfway down when I've got a fresh brush full of paint, and brushing from about halfway down up to the top just as before. After I've covered the tip of the cape with paint, I'm then going to move further down on the cape without getting more paint on my brush. I'm then brushing upward from the darker area up to the brighter area, and this is going to help smooth the transition between that bright red and the dark red. Then I'm just going to repeat this process. I'll get a fresh brush full of paint. I'll start off on the highest point of one of the folds in the cape. Once the paint is mostly off of my brush, I'll then move further down on the fold and start brushing upward to smooth the transition from the dark shadow color to the bright red color. This is a process I'll repeat a few more times on each of the folds of the cape until I can no longer see the brush strokes and the color transitions look smooth. I'm also starting slightly higher up on the fold each time because I want the top of the fold to be the brightest part of the cape. I'll speed this part up so it doesn't seem quite so boring, and while you're watching, I'll take this opportunity to thank our patrons on Patreon. We also have a Discord channel where people share their work and give each other tips. Neither Ben or I are expert painters, but we're always online and willing to share any tips we can. The members of the channel are also super helpful and supportive, and many times I've also asked them for tips on a project that I've been working on. Now for the final and easiest color to add, I'm using Evil Sun Scarlet, which is slightly brighter than Mephiston Red. I'm going to thin this down to a glaze, just like I did with the Mephiston Red, and this is only going to be added to maybe the top 10% of each of these folds. Again, all of my brush strokes are moving towards the top of the fold, so that when I lift my brush, any paint that I leave behind is just making the top of the fold brighter. For the really small folds, like those near the shoulders, I'm stippling the paint on, but only at the very top of the shoulders and around the neck. The highest part of the fold will get the most paint so that they look the brightest. By the end, I'm just stippling the paint on the highest parts of each of the folds, and then I let the paint dry, see how bright it is, and then add a little bit more paint if I feel I need to build up that brightness. And there you have it, Lord Solar Leontus, who cares absolutely nothing about camouflage or subtlety. I hope you all liked this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section, and thanks for watching.